I encourage everyone, the message of what we share is the same, but how we deliver our message is different all the time. It's like, to me, like back in the day, what we used back in the day, way, way, way back. How we get message across to other people? Before the phone,
Letter.
snail mail, right? Snail mail, or newspaper. But nowadays, how many ways can you get to people? A lot of ways. Right? So a lot of ways. So if people, that's one thing I learned. If you cannot get your message across text, phone, email, face-to-face, social media, there's multiple channel how you get your your message across. And I would encourage you to really learn how to be content oriented to people. That means you are a value giver to people, right? Because one thing I learned, when we learn something, if we share it, we're able to retain more. Even if you read a book, I can reflect on the time the book, the last month I read about 2 or 3 books, and I can go back and really understand those content and share with people. And that's the same way, but how can you retain those books? Because why? Because I share what I learned, and then what happened? That retention reinforced back. It's like this morning, I told my mom, I said, Mom, I'm reading a book about self-image. So I have to explain her what is self-image to her in my native language, right? So it helped to reinforce your learning. And this is the same way here as we learn here. I know some of you guys probably not your first time seeing the workshop, but the workshop 3 mainly talk about protection, okay? And if you go out there and you don't know what to say, hey, look, we have a workshop, especially workshop number 3, talk about protection. And again, invite them to the workshop. We host this on a weekly base, even daily base. Now, before I get started, I know we know each other here, but I still have to disclose this. Disclaimer, the information in this presentation should not be interpreted as accounting, investment, legal, or tax advice. It is not an offer to sell or a solicitation to buy any security, insurance, or any other financial products. Now, this workshop is for educational purposes only. Our national campaign for financial literacy is to bring financial awareness and education. You will not learn everything during the course of this workshop. However, we hope you learn, gain more confidence, and take action towards reaching your goals. Being part of our campaign, we encourage you to help empower others do the same. To help us preserve the integrity and content of the information, please do not take any photo, video, or record this workshop. So you can learn, come and learn. I think ultimately is you become instructor. That's our goal, right? That's our goal, to become instructor. Now let's talk a little bit about our campaign. How many of us here know what 30 by 30 is? Angela, I see she's a fast hand raiser. Okay, go ahead.
30 families by 2030.
That's it, right? So that's a number, right? Most of us really just point out to people and say, look, we have a mission. We have a very powerful mission to educate family. So again, as a community, World System Builder committed to educate, empowering 30 million families by 2030. And we encourage you to be part of our campaign, and especially changing the industry, build a system that bridges financial education and financial independence, right? So what we're doing is we're connecting what we have here with the people out there, right? That's what we call a bridge. So you are a connector. You are a connector between what we have and what's the public have. Now, welcome to our workshop. Every day we flood it with information, right? We flood it with information, and especially of us, we are most people right now, especially in the on your phone, on this smartphone right now. It's so smart. Everybody touching it right now too, right? Because again, it's a way to really get our message out. But some people also sharing this content, not because they have license. I think to me, there's nothing wrong with people sharing content. It's just sometimes they have passion about sharing this content. I know there's sometimes we say, well, some of them are not licensed or unlicensed. But sometimes I see a lot of creative people out there. They may not be licensed, but to me, I get people become aware of what we do, especially IUL. People reach out to me, maybe someone else that heard on social media talk about IUL, but it bring back to us because why? What separate us between them, right? Because we can implement it. They might share your information. So social media is, to me, is great, but are you leveraging, right? They sharing this information on your behalf, but they cannot help you how to open one, right? So this is where your expertise and your tool to help that. And my client will reach out and say, Sam, do I have an IUL? I said, you do, right? And you even have not just IUL, many more benefits. So the WSB here to help you look at the total picture and more of a holistic approach. So when we talk about holistic approach, can anyone here tell what is holistic approach? Anyone? What is a holistic approach? Here? Since you're an arm read for me. So.
Educated approach, like a reasoning approach.
So she said reasoning approach. Anyone have a set?
We look at the different aspects. For example, if we are in finance, we look at the different aspects like insurance needs, the retirement and all of that.
Okay.
Not just like one aspect.
Not one aspect. Okay. So, yep. So what we're saying here is that we're looking from the bottom up, right? Meaning that all different areas of personal finance. So that's what we call a holistic approach from bottom up, like the foundation, the financial foundation. Not just protection, we look at also debt management, emergency fund, and investment. Our workshop educate and empower you to become your own money manager, right? Your own money manager. Control your finance and control your future. Now, again, what can you learn in our workshop? Understand the X-curve concept, right? Also understand why proper protection is the foundation, right? And also the value of properly protecting your asset and liability, how this benefit your overall financial strategy, and most common question and mistake. Okay, so now let's talk about the foundation. We talk about the foundation. I always tell people, I said, this is one of the core fundamental of our business, especially in our organization. It doesn't matter what workshop you attend. You're going to hear over and over and over the financial foundation, right? And when you start to really understand why we so strongly believe in financial foundation, you're going to really feel good about how we approach people. Now, protection. This workshop talk about the first platform. Now, here we talk about without a strong foundation, everything you have may not last. Okay? Now, let's talk about the X-curve. So X-curve is a simple way to show the relationship between taking care of your responsibility and building your wealth. If I was to ask you, how many of you heard of the X-curve before you are part of this organization or introduced? So, Gal, you heard it before? Okay. For where were you heard the
Self-study.
Self-study? Okay. So what concept was it? If you can elaborate more.
Yeah, I just wanted to find out how I could manage my money. So I wanted to see how far should I save or how long should I save?
Hello.
Okay.
Okay, I was just trying to find out how long should I save before I get to the point where, I need the money and I don't to work. So I started with asking questions.
So you did this, you did this approach yourself.
Yes, I
Wow.
just went to like learn as much as I can all by myself. And then I found out some of the things I've heard were wrong and some of the things were not. And I didn't know how to implement. So that's how I got in here.
That's it. That's it. See, information is out there, but how to get started or take action is a little bit different. And I'm very, I mean, you know, give yourself applause because not many people, you tap your shoulder, right? So, because not many people really understand about X curve, right? Once you truly understand the X curve, you really believe that you have to do both, taking care of yourself and also growing your wealth at the same time. And that's the concept, right? It's also get an approach of building your financial foundation. And then we talk about responsibility curve. You know, most of us get up every morning. We have a responsibility, right? But, you know, you don't know it. But some of us may have to get up and take care of the children, right? Make sure they have breakfast, make sure they have all the stuff. But on top of that, you being the provider, you have to make sure that if anything happened, you be there to take care of them. Mortgage, education, saving, debts, right? Ultimately, we want to see ourselves start to reduce that responsibility and get to a level where we become less, you know, become less and less of responsible for someone else. And then we talk about the other curve, the building wealth curve. Most of us may start with something small, right? And ultimately, we start to build up a wealth. And this concept really shows us at where point in time that you are become more, I guess, to a point where you feel financially secure, right? I think I heard someone, they, you know, talk about saving. You know, where at one point that you feel secure. Have you asked yourself, how much do I need to save so I can feel secure? Or how much money do I need to save to feel secure? Some might say, well, you know what? I think Kimmy talk about, you know, the moment she saved $1 million, she had a sense of security, right? So maybe to a point, I said, you know what? I have $1 million liquid asset. I feel more secure. Now, the X curve is, you know, we show this to people that, hey, you got to do those two things at the same time. You know, how many of us get across, say, Sam, I don't have money to save? How many times you guys hear that?
Times.
Right? Oh, I want to wait until I pay off my debt first, then I will start saving. How many times you guys hear that? A lot, right? So one of the great things, if you can show them this, that you have to do this at the same time. If you see, you have to do both lines at the same time. If you see this line here, this line is a linear line, meaning that if you pass here, can you go back? No, right? So what happened? What forced you to do is that you have to do both at the same time. Because I cannot buy back. It doesn't matter. If you get to this point, you make $1 million. Can you buy back your time? No way, right? So that's why we have to do both at the same time. But what we see here also that, you know what? Generally, when we're on this side, we tend to be less secure. Some of us might not know it, might not be aware of it, but we feel a little bit more insecure. I might not know it back before this company, but when I look back, I was like, wow, what if it happened to me? What will happen to my family? You know? So again, younger, take care of yourself and your family. When you get older, you got to take care of yourself. All right? I know my mom, you know, she have 5 kids, but you know, right now you know what she's preparing right now? She said, I want to make sure that you guys can take care of me. But I'm not dependent on you guys to take care of me. So she created incentive to make sure that she's getting care of. Because she realized all the kids is everywhere. Okay. So again, we got to take care of ourselves. And again, if you don't have a workbook, I would encourage you to get a workbook. Okay. Gail, you have a book?
Yes.
A workbook? Okay, awesome. Is this your first time?
Here,
No, seeing this workshop?
no, this was.
Second, awesome, awesome. That's wonderful. Okay. Now the X-curve concept. All right, let's participate. Okay. So this is a good time to participate with us. So this is true or false. According to the X-curve, you should wait until you pay off all your responsibility before building wealth. Is this true or false?
False.
Right? It's very simple, right? It's false. You got to do it when you can, while you can. Second thing is true or false. According to the responsibility curve, you have more responsibility when you're older.
False.
Okay, Jean's very quick to answer. Yes, it's false, right? So when you're older, what happened? You want to be less, right? Because now you're at your time where income are very fixed. You build up your resources, but you also want to make sure that it can take care for you for the rest of your life. And then we talk about the last one, true or false. Generally, when we are young, we may have enough wealth to take care of our responsibility.
False.
False, right? We're still building up a wealth. We're still building up a family. We're still growing up. So things, unless you're born into a trust fund baby or something, then, that might be a different story. All right. But you know what? You can create your own trust fund baby next generation. Okay. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
In the making. Proper protection. What are the most common things you insure?
Cell phone.
Cell phone, car,
House.
house,
My bling car.
her bling bling. Okay.
Yeah.
Her jewelry. I thought bling bling was a flashlight or something.
My pet.
Your pet? Pet. Oh yeah, you have a pet. You have a dog. Yeah. You insure, right? Anything else?
Husband.
Husband. She's insure her husband. Right? Well, yeah, she buy insurance on her husband. Yeah. Yeah. See?
Almost 3 times more than I insure myself.
Yeah. You know, it was funny. I was on Instagram, and there's a lady that we know. She's also in the insurance industry. And then she took a picture of her husband. I don't know their husband or not, but they significant other, right? And he was repairing her car, took out the tire. I don't know what he have it on there. It's funny how she make the joke. If anything happened to him, I'd be $. I was like, wow, this is what she put on the husband. I don't know. She first gave a compliment, said thanks him for taking care of the family, but then if anything happened to him, I have $. So yeah, we insure everything, from a car, a health, cell phone, bling bling, like Vicky said, right? The house, the vacation, right? So I booked my flight yesterday to Hawaii, right? So they asked me, do I want to insure that flight? For $22 per person, no, $25 per person. So it's per person, right? Your pet and also your business. And the business is the same thing as us. We have to pay E&O, right? To protect us. How do we protect our responsibility or asset? Have you ever had or purchased a warranty? So again, insurance is a means of protection from financial loss. Okay. It's a form of risk management that provides a guarantee of compensation for specified loss, damage, illness, or death. Okay. So again, this is just something that most of us might not feel that, sometimes when we talk about insurance, a lot of people shy away from it. But the reality is that they do it every day, but they unconsciously not knowing that they have insurance. Right? I don't know, you guys, but right now, like iPhone 15 is coming out. They pre-order like yesterday. Right? See, everybody got a lot. Everybody said that iPhone 15. Okay. So again, Most people probably insure for it. Okay. So we insure all this thing, yet many forget to ensure the greatest asset is ourselves. This is where we start to really feel a little bit more secure, more give yourself, I think, value. Before this, I have no idea how much I'm worth, right? I'm just a guy. I'm a son, but again, there's no value. But here it said, life insurance is a way to protect your family from the burden of financial responsibility based on your need and goal. In exchange, you got to pay your part, right? You got to do your part. That means pay the premium. Okay. Insurance company provide lump sum payment, death benefit to beneficiary upon the insured passing. So, all right. Can I get someone to read this? Jean? Okay. Let's get Jean a mic.
A round of applause.
Okay. Let's give her a big clap. So she's going to read a perspective of a life insurance policy.
Okay, so hello, I am your life insurance policy. You and I have similar purposes in this world. It is your job to provide food, clothing, shelter, schooling, medicine, and other things for the ones you love. You do this while I am kept in a safe place. I have faith and trust in you. Out of your earnings will come the cost of my upkeep. At times, I may appear insignificant to you, but someday, and who knows when, you and I will change places. When you are laid to rest, I will come alive and do your job. I may provide food, clothing, shelter, schooling, medicine, and other things your family will continue to need, just as you are providing now. When your work and labor are done, mine will begin. Through me, your hands can carry on. Whenever you feel the price you're paying for my upkeep is burdensome, remember that I can do more for you and your family than you will ever do for me. Knowing how a policy like me works will help you understand my role in your overall financial foundation. Together, we can help protect the future of your family. If you do your part, I will do mine. Sincerely yours, your life insurance policy.
Woo! Let's give Jean a big hand. What I encourage you guys do is record yourself. Record yourself reading this and share with all your friends. Can you do that?
Like what
Like Tina said, like what I did. Can you do that? What happened? Why is it different when you do that? You personalize that message, your voice, your intention. You spend time. See, a lot of time I see people put social media on there. They just reshare, repost, but they never take the initiative to share with your own. Take the same message, not change anything, but read it, record it, read it, and share it. Okay? And ask them, hey, friend, have you heard of this letter by Life Insurance? Can I send it to you? I recorded. I tried several times. I did it 2 or 3 times. I messed up on the second line. But finally, my 5th time, I got it. The moment you tell them your effort, they will listen to your message. If you do this, I guarantee you, you will make an impact on them. They may or may not buy from you yet, but you will make an impact. Why did I say that? I did this for myself. I recorded. I did it 2 or 3 times. I recorded. I put some image behind it. You know what my team member said, Sam? Every time I saw that video, it almost make me cry. All right, because I did a video where the little kid run around the sofa. The dad was chasing her. And if you do, and this morning I repost again. I read it, I post it, I read it. It make you, this is how you can really share message, share content. If you just repost this and say, oh yeah, I saw that already. But if you put your own voice into it, they will really appreciate you for sending that. So let's talk about how can we use life insurance, right? So there's several ways. So life insurance, not just for death only, but also something for you can do more to give back, charity, right? You can give even more than what you can. You know, if you know, like the big foundation, a lot of foundation are from really people pretty plan for this. Estate preservation, business planning, creating wealth, creating inheritance that more than you could possibly do by just saving alone. Even our saving is, you know, Sam, I save money for my kid and all that stuff. They are sad. But you know what? Life insurance can really do more. Okay. So again, I encourage you, and Transamerica even had, was it 9 things, right? What life insurance can do, right? You probably seen that post on the Telegram. Share it, read it. You know, I always feel that social media, if you add a twist of yourself into it, they feel more connected with you. You're not trying to promote them selling a product. They feel more connected with you. Clarity, right? Understanding, like anything not frequently talked about, this can be misconception, myth, and general lack of understanding. I am the same way. Before this, when people talk about life insurance, I was not a person to even, you know, it's like I feel like I don't need it. This is me before that, right? So what about other people? And then when you talk about life insurance, what type is right for me? When will it be there? Will it be there when I need it? Is what they say is true? Is that ad real? Why is the quote so high? Who benefit? What am I getting? Why is it so cheap? Right? So, you know, how many of us here get from our friend or family or maybe our client say, hey, this person paid less than me. Have you anyone get that? No one get that? I get that all the time. It's like you know, I have to learn, I have to teach them up front. You know that life insurance are not the same. Right? We can have IUL, but it depends on how you design it. Right? That person might design an intention to put more money, and that person maybe design IUL just for protection. You can't compare costs like that. Right? So I say, well, let's sit down and talk about it. Option can be overwhelming. Sell tactic, create pressure, and who likes to talk about dying? But today, you clearly understand why life insurance is the most important. And especially when we talk to younger people, you know, we have to approach it from a different way of talking about death benefit. Right? You know, do you know why sometimes we see on our policy death benefit and sometimes we see face amount? What's the difference? Why is it they use the same meaning, but 2 different words? Anyone here? We are. You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. On some policy, like on some policy or paper, you see death benefit, and some you see face amount. But we know it's the same thing. But why is it 2 different words?
Because it's scary when you talk about that.
It's because it's scary because it's Beth? Becky, anything?
It's the language.
It's the language?
It depends on how you design the life insurance policy, because your death benefit may be different than the actual face amount over time.
Well, death benefit and face amount it's the same thing, but it just you have 2 different words. Right?
Then you need to tell us the answer.
Well, Sam,
Yeah.
that benefit, okay, as we know, like, you know, policy in, FFIUL that we design. When we go in, we put, let's say, $500,000. In time, maybe following year, it might go up to death benefit to be $511,000, which is the death benefit, not the face value that we originally created. So it's a death benefit plus, face value plus the accumulation, so whichever become a death benefit.
So what you're saying is that the difference is the number?
Well, yeah, plus the wording, of course.
Okay. Anyone else?
So
Reggie.
it just comes natural for me, depending on who I'm talking to. If one is more familiar with the term of a death benefit or whatnot, I will go ahead and actually use the death benefit term. But it's like, depending on who I'm talking to and who and how I know of them, then I will actually just use face value. It's more of a positive twist to actually saying practically the same thing. And especially for younger people, the younger people don't want to be thinking about death, right? But you're talking about a face amount, a face value. Now they're like, oh, it's just a face value. So it really depends on who I'm talking to, and it just becomes automatic.
Yep. You're correct. Right. So we have no distinguish between number. It's the language. If you talk to young millennial, they don't want to talk about death. But you change that to face amount or face value. It sounds more of a value proposition. Okay. Than to plan for your death. So what we're saying here is that the understanding is so important how we use things. That's the same way as like kids, right? You either say, don't touch this, or you say differently. Then, because again, when you say something, they see it more of a negative way. The moment you tell don't, what do? The opposite of don't, right? So how would a parent use it differently than say don't? So they have to use a different word to encourage that person, the kid, not to touch it, right? So, but yeah, it's the same thing. Oh, sorry, I go back. But thanks for sharing, Ed and Jennifer. Okay, but it's the same thing. It's just a different talking point, basically different talking point. Now, how premium is determined? Cost of insurance or rate generally determined by this criteria: age, weight, health issue, past, present, medication, tobacco use. Am I yelling? I sound like yelling for a second. Family health history, driving record, high risk activity. So as you can see, all insurance, all term insurance, right? We hear this. It's all based on premiums. Why some people are different. That's why you cannot compare life insurance. Your health might be different. Becky's health might be different than Jean's health. Her weight, her height are different. Right? Becky said know that, right? So that's why I always encourage people, because they like to compare. Right? They like to compare. But I say, look, let me explain you something about life insurance. It's a very unique products that you cannot buy off the shelf. You cannot buy life insurance off the shelf. It's a very unique. It's designed, it go underwriting, it check your history. So it's a very unique solution. Are you still insurable? One time I have a cousin, because of his driving record, too many speeding ticket. They put a probation on him for 6 months. If he have another ticket, they won't approve him. So they have to wait for 6 months before to ask us to reapply. Okay, so it's very important. And I always explain this to young people. I said, do you know that driving record is also considered part of a application process? And then also not factor. Now, which one is not factor? Driving record, height, auto racing, or hair color? We gotta go back to Vicky, get her license again. Hair color, right? So if you think about it, they probably rate me more, right? They probably rate me more because my hair color. Yeah, because I have more gray. Okay. But what's funny, I went yesterday, I went to see an agent that used to be part of my team, and they opened a barber shop. I walk in, I was expecting to look for him, but his son come to talk about it, is a barber, 21 years old. So I was like, since I'm already there, like, can you edge me? Can you line me up a little bit? 21, he said, well, I like your hair color, from a 21. Like if I have gray, I want to gray like that. I said, well, I've been graying since I was young. So also another thing is religion. And we talk about eye color, right? I can't imagine like when I was young. How many of us here like back then when we were young? Did you put your those contacts, those color contact lens? Anyone try before?
Can't afford it.
No? No one? No one? So no one here, only me?
Oh.
Oh, yeah, back there. Okay, I'm not the only one. Yeah, look at that. I used to do this when I was young. Okay. Back then I used to wear glasses. And I did.
Color did you put? Red?
My favorite color was hazel.
Hazel.
Yeah. So. So that was very interesting. Yeah, but now I cannot sport that right now, right? But this was back in the day. Okay. Knowing how much you need, right? So there's a method approach called dime method. You can use this to see how much you need for life insurance. The same thing that when you look at it, you won't buy anything less. Say, for example, a house, right? You wouldn't want to have $100,000. If you have a car, it's $50,000. You won't buy anything $20,000. Likewise, 100 life insurance policy when you need it. So a lot of time people say, well, Sam, I want to buy 100,000 or $250,000. I said, I'm just curious how you come up with the number, right? And I said, well, I just want to see if I can afford it. Right? I said, well, there's a way that we approach, and as a licensed financial professional, I want to help you understand what is your proper protection need. I understand it might not be something that you could afford right now, but I just need to show you how I come up with that number. And maybe later on, because it's not fair for you, and 4 or 5 years down the road, something happened and you come to me and say, well, Sam, how come you didn't tell me I need this much? As a professional in any industry, the public see you as more of advantage than them. You have more understanding, more knowledge. So I always show the dime method, regardless of how much they want to buy, because you have to show them. And if they want to say, well, Sam, I can only get 100,000. Okay, that's fine. It's okay. Okay, start with something. First, look at debt, income, 10 times, mortgage. So how many of us here know why we do 10 times?
Since that it will take like a family to recoup from the loss of somebody for 10 years.
10 years?
What you said.
Oh yeah, my
Reiterated.
I don't sound like Gina.
They said that it might take 10 years for a family to recoup for the loss of, the main provider of somebody. That's
Yeah. I mean, the best way at first I have a difficult time explaining why 10 times, right? So I let them know. I said, hey, look, if something happened and if you're a homemaker, right? How long will it take for you to get into the workforce? Right? And especially you have a child that's still young, still demand your time. So again, put them in the perspective of it. I always show the example. Okay, get them to feel. That's why because the bigger policy, the more we get paid, is the understanding, and that too, I'm saying.
I just want to add to that, somehow the 10 years, like. Because it does take at least 4 to 5 years to get whatever, a degree or even some kind of training. And it take another 3-4 years for you to make somewhat meaningful income. So 10 years is truly a good numbers. Some people say, why 10 years, right? So anyway, when you look at it, because sometimes Social Security do provide some kind of call a widow, whatever, but it's only up until your kids are 18 years old, and if you don't have kids below 18 years old, you're not getting any benefit. And for you to get on your feet, if you never worked before, you need to go back to school to do whatever you need to do. Hey, that's really the right amount of time. Most people don't know. I have a church friend that, stay-home mom, and took her until I think right now 4 years still couldn't get to
Replace that income.
get to, because it does take time to transition into, and she still has to depend very, very solely on the Social Security subsidy, which is running out, what I'm saying, because her kids is closer to 18 years old now. So anyway, yeah.
Yep. So, but again, it's about our understanding of why 10. Okay. And if a parent's spouse, they always saying men tends to go early, right? And they also the one that make more income. And just think about that. Okay. To replace that big income, it make more sense to do it 10 times. Now, life insurance, two main type of life insurance, you're going to get to understand is term and permanent. And the different term and permanent is all it come down to is how this cash value is growing. Okay, that's only two different things. How excess cash in the account is accrued, and also how just the way how you can fund the premium. It's funny. My client, I got an email from a client and said, "Sam, I heard whole life. I'm thinking about whole life." So I said, "Well, whole life is just one of the permanent policy. How many people say, 'Oh, Sam, I want whole life,' or this and that, I want whole life." And I said, "Well, let me explain what most people assume that is the only permanent products." Okay, so that's why understand this concept will help you a lot, especially in the field. So as you see, the commonality of everything is with the cost of insurance. And I explained that the cost of insurance is always going to go up. Even though you buy a permanent, you say, "Well, there's no cost insurance, it's not going to go up." No, it's always going to go up. You just pay a little bit higher. But what happens is that you already pay more higher upfront. It's just going to take care of itself. You probably don't know it. But term insurance, the simplest form, like renting an apartment, insurance company will pay the death benefit should anything happen. So you can buy term insurance, that go up every year, we'll call ART. And then another way up, you can buy life insurance, term insurance for every 5 years. That means every 5 years, you're going to get a new premium. Okay. And then 10-year level term, every 10 years go up. And also 20-year level term, every premium goes up. I always tell people that this is the most affordable, cost less. I never say it's cheap. Okay. I say it's cost less. Okay. Never use the word cheap in your policy, the way you compare number. You don't want to see yourself as being cheap. Okay. It's always cost less. And, but one thing about term, I have experience that if you miss a payment, you only have 30 days. Okay. So it's cost less. If you change your bank account, make sure you let me know. Don't let that notice come in. It's too late. By the time the notice come in, it's almost like 2 or 3 weeks in already. You only got 1 week to respond. And it happened to my client. Okay. So, just I think it's more about just help them understand. All right. What happened? Oh, sorry. My thing popped up. And then we talk about other form is group life insurance, a benefit usually 1 to 3 times salary. You do not need to qualify, and also inexpensive. So how many people you know that, oh, I already have life insurance? People always say that to you, right? Oh, I already have life insurance. Yeah, I have 50,000 already, right? I always say, I'm just curious, what kind of life insurance you have, right? Get to know, get to educate them, right? Employer can change the plan at any time. So employer can change the plan at any time. Okay. I said, you know what? When I used to have a job, when I started this with this company, I do have a group life, but I didn't plan to stay them for long anyway, right? So get something outside. If you get terminated or you leave employment, and then there's other type called accidental death and dismemberment, AD&D, inexpensive but may not be of good value. So this is very important. A lot of people think that they have life insurance. I have a team member. We review his policy, and he shared this with us. His mom died from cancer, and unfortunately didn't pay because she had the AD&D. Okay, so sometimes people say, well, I have life insurance already. I said, I'm just curious, what kind, right? Certain condition must be met to realize the benefit. So it's you get this all the time. I think in the post office, like in the mail.
In the bank.
In the bank too.
Number one of that one.
Yeah. So I get in the mail. I see a lot in the mail. Very, very simple to buy. And then this is just an example of term insurance example for a 30-year-old female buying something about 5,000, 20-year, rate class standard, non-smoker. As you can see, the first 20 year, she only paid $400, right? And then, you know, for that 20 years, she can end up paying about 8,000 for the life of that policy to 20 years. And then what if she decide to buy another 20 years, right? The next 20 years, she would end up paying about $2,000 per year. Okay. It's funny, like a couple of weeks ago, I sat down and review a lady policy. She have 2 policies. One with AIG, and the other one was with Primerica. And I explained to her how her insurance worked. Well, come to interesting. I mean, you know, so it's I explained to her, as I look, this term is 10 years, but then they stepped into what, 5 year, and then it would go up every 5 year. Even though it's a term to 95, but it's really not. Yes, you can have this until 95, but your premium are not going to be level. Okay. So again, she's like, what? She was surprised by the number. I said, yes, look, this is how much you would pay. So again, educate them. And right now we're doing a try-out for her with Nationwide. Cumulative over 90,000. So if you think like, hey, you know what, Sam, I'm just going to buy 20 years, and the next 20 years, I'm going to buy another 20 years. She really putting money into this term, $100,000 for that 40 years. Okay. So again, yes, we're talking about it's low cost, relatively inexpensive, cost, cover liability for a specific amount of time. But the only disadvantage is that, you know, you get a very limited of time of what you insure for. So what happened if you live long? My grandma was like 90 something. Okay. Policy will lapse if premium payment is missed. Right. I mentioned before, that's one of the drawback is that hoping that you don't change your bank account quite often. Okay. Premium is wasted if you don't die within the term. This is almost like, I don't know, it's like you feel like you gotta die within the term to even get something out of it. But this is just showing that yes, you don't get paid Becoming uninsurable forces you to renew at high rate. Policy cannot be renewed beyond a maximum age. So what we call insurability. Okay. So there's a time limit that we can be insurable. Sometimes it's 85. Some maybe get to almost beyond 85. Okay. But they're very expensive. A permanent solution, because term insurance is just set for a period of time, you may live longer than the length of the term. How long do you think you will live? Think about how much debt, loan, mortgage, or other financial burden get passed on to loved one who will pay for the bill, right? So when we plan, yes, you know, we don't live forever, but we do plan for, make sure that you can take care of your family, right? So if term insurance is like renting an apartment, permanent insurance is like owning a home. There's a cash value associated with the account that can potentially generate interest to help pay for high costs of insurance as you get older. Okay, so here's just to show a concept of cost insurance. So with term insurance, what happened is that your premium, right? Your premium here, you see, you pay higher than the cost of insurance. So you pay higher, but what happened? It's level. And later on, the premium that you pay up front here will offset the cost of insurance in the later year. Okay, so that's why, yes, you pay more, but it's going to benefit you later on in life. And then we talk about the choice of permanent insurance. You have whole life, just one type of permanent policy. And then you have universal life. You have index universal life, very big in the picture, especially in social media right now. So capitalize on that too. IUL, you know, like I was looking at the industry report. You know, what is the average target premium for IUL? Anyone a guess?
6,000.
Higher.
15,000.
Yeah, almost 15,000 target premium. I was like, what? And we get happy with just 2,000, 3,000. But the average target premium out there is 13 to 15,000. So they're using this IUL a very different way. Okay, so so this is what happened when you learn more. You start to say, okay, I need to ask more. Okay, whole life. So whole life, very fixed premium. You pay one level premium for the rest of your life. Again, it's going to help offset later on your cost of insurance. And this is just example of the whole life insurance premium. Say, for example, you paid this female paid for 30 years, non-smoker. And as you can see here, she paid this for 20 years. And she have a guaranteed contract and also guaranteed cash value. So with premium, with whole life, it's fixed, and also the interest is also kind of like established by the company. Okay, they set the company, the one that set the interest, and for them to be able to guarantee. That's why a lot of people say, Sam, I just want to guarantee. You know, I mean, I have client that sometimes, because whole life is a very, it's been in the industry for a long time. So all the people here is whole life. And I said, well, if you want whole life, I can give you whole life, right? Because at the end of the day, we help what people understand, but if they don't want to understand you, that's okay too. Okay. And if something happened, you have 60,000. I mean, cash value 60,000, and if anything happened, it's 500,000 for death benefit. And whole life, again, this is 35 years later, age 65. She put into this whole life program 113,000, and cash value is 156,000. Now, The moment you tap into whole life, your cash no longer guaranteed. Okay. So again, as long as you don't touch it, they will guarantee, but once you touch it, then it's going to be a little bit different. Now, have you heard of something called final expense? All right. So final expense is a type of whole life that used to give peace of mind, paying for a funeral. Benefit usually issued sooner than traditional life. There may be other benefit associated. So final expense is, like you said, is the same thing. It's a whole life, but they are just on a smaller scale. Like final expense is smaller amount. Maybe you can buy as low as 5,000. I think Gerber, you can buy as low as almost like 10,000, 1,000. No, as low as almost 1,000 or something. Yeah, they're very low too. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just a smaller. Most final expense maximum is maybe 50,000. Okay, and that's why they're able to really do underwriting fast. Additionally, for people who may not qualify for regular life insurance, this product is usually easier to qualify for. So even those with medical issue may still have a chance to qualify. Now, what's the whole life? What's the advantages and disadvantages? Guaranteed interest rate, pay schedule. You can set this pay 10 pay, 20 pay, or to pay to age 65. Can be designed prior to issue. So like a lot of time people say, well, Sam, I wanted to pay off 10 years. I said, well, you can, but what happened? Yep. The premium is going to be more, right? So you want to do it 10 years, the premium is going to be more higher than a 20 pay or to age 65. Permanent policy designed to last your entire life. Disadvantages, guaranteed interest tends to be very conservative rate. Okay. So again, because it's company, they established the rate. They also have to factor in long-term for them too. Premium is fixed. So you don't get a chance to, hey, I have more money. Can I put more? You don't get that flexibility. Whatever you pay for the rest of your life. That benefit is fixed. Also, access cash value, eliminate the guarantee. Okay, so if you touch the money, you also lose that guarantee contract.
The cost of accessing the cash value is very, very high.
Very high on the interest side.
Yeah.
Okay. The loan. So it's typically about what, 5, 6, 7?
7.
Huh?
Typically between like 6 to 8.
6 to 8%.
Because it's based off of the prime rate or LIBOR, it has a base, so it's like a spread. So in a rising interest environment, it can be very high.
Very high.
Even in a very low interest environment, it's still high.
Still high. So it's still high.
Still high.
Still high. All right. So now we're talking about universal life. It's very similar to whole life. One thing is that it's flexible premium. Okay. So flexible, when you have more money, put more. When time get tough, you can lower it down and you can even skip premium. Okay. I don't recommend skipping premium because sometimes it can also, you forgot about a year or so later on, then also have a high chance of policy collapse. Universal life, fixed premium. This is for a 30-year-old female, non-smoker. And just example here showing 20 years, right? Accumulated premium that she paid into this program about 89,000. And now she have a cash value. So you see surrender value and cash value. What's the difference? Is it different? Why is it whole life say cash value and then this one says surrender value? Any different?
It's different.
Huh?
With the cash value and the surrender value?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's they're
different.
Yeah, they're different.
They're different.
Yeah, they're different.
In what way?
Well, the cash value is what you have earned in your policy, but the surrender value is like when you surrender the policy, then that will be the charge for your.
Okay. Well, so don't get different feeling about the surrender or cash value. They're very similar thing. They're just different Different policy use different terminology, but they're the same. Okay, so the surrender value, you can access this money too. Okay, you can also access this money. You don't have to surrender. You can also access. Okay, but yeah, you can see the way they use. You have to understand that they are the same thing. Okay, I just want to. I hope it's not a trick question. Okay. Again, you know, the longer you put into the for a long time, and you get more money on your cash. And if anything happened, and this one, if the way they design is basically increasing. You know, with the first base amount is for 500,000. 500,000 plus 300 plus the you know, the surrender value. Okay, or contract fund. So contract fund is almost like a policy value. Okay. All right. So advantages, disadvantages, flexible premium, flexible death benefit as needs change, and also policy and payment can be designed during the life of the contract. Permanent policy designed to last your entire life. Access to cash value. And guaranteed interest tends to be a conservative rate. Okay, so the rate a little bit different than a typical index universal life. Okay, underfunded policy may require additional premium later in life. So let's do some true and false, right? Term insurance have flexible premium. You can skip payment without the policy lapsing. True or false?
False.
That's correct. It's false. Future term insurance renewal rate or lower? False. Okay. Group term insurance from your employer may terminate if you leave the employment. True or false? True. Okay. Final expense is a type of a term policy. True or false? False. Universal life have a flexibility premium.
100%.
Okay. All right, you guys pass. All right, so we're coming down to our last type of insurance now is IUL. IUL, over the year, things change, right? IUL have the flexibility universal life, but as cash value that accrue crediting interest based on market index. Now, you know, a lot of time people will compare IUL. What's the difference between one company IUL to the next company?
Number one is the cost,
The cost,
and then the rider as well.
the rider. Okay. So another thing is also crediting method.
Yes.
How they use crediting. Some use different indices. Some use S&P 500. Some use Bank of America. Some use. So you have different indices. That's, you know, like, I don't know, one of our provider, like Transamerica and Nationwide, right? Nationwide will use like all these different indices. And in Pacific Life, they have a bunch of indices, right? You can, so at the end of the day, I tell, more importantly is it's about the indices, okay? It just for Transamerica, this is make it simple, just, but if you see,
We call it
First-
strategy. The strategy of
yep. So crediting interest to the cash value may have a guaranteed minimum rate. Floor could be 0 and maximum rate cap could be 12, 13 or depend, right? Some will maybe have even uncapped. Okay. Flexible premium, very similar to universal life. So anytime you see the word universal life, what do you know? Flexible premium. So any product that you see universal life, it doesn't matter. Index universal life, variable universal life, they all have flexible premium. Okay. Same thing, same concept. You pay high upfront, but ultimately it's going to help you offset the cost of insurance. Now, plus save additional cash. Okay. And you can, client always tell me, it's like, Sam, I want access to my cash. But how much they're paying? They're paying $1 a day. So I say, if you want to access your cash, I will encourage you to put more money. right? So that way they can save additional cash. If they just pay enough, all they're doing is just pay insurance. Okay, and because IUL have a minimum and maximum, I explained to them. Okay, even sometimes they would come to me and say, "Well, Sam, I pay this and pay that." I said, "Well, we always recommend the target premium, because why? It's more than the minimum, so at least you have a cushion." So this is just an example of IUL for 30-year-old female non-smoker. She's about $6,000 a year, and here, as you can see, 20 years later, she put in about $120,000. Her cash surrender value is $165,000, and her death benefit is $665,000. At age 65, she would put in about $210,000. So this is 35 years, right? Now she have a cash value about $517,000. Anything happen is $1.1 million for the beneficiary. And this is all the way to age 121, right? Every time I show this, people always laugh. I say, Sam, I don't think I live to age 121, right? But we just want to show you. I don't know, might be the next 5 years, there's another research, because right now, I don't know, people want to live long. There's a bunch of money that are spending on longevity, okay? How to live long. I think this one guy, he sold PayPal or something. And he spent almost $1 million plus a year on his health, so he can stay young. But he's doing all this, his sleep and everything. Yeah. So right now he just want to live long with all that money. Okay. And look young, right? Index universal life advantages is crediting interest ability to rise with the index gain without market risk. Flexible premium, flexible death benefit, and also policy and payment can design during the life of the contract. Permanent policy designed to last your entire life. The access to cash value and also the disadvantaged underfunded policy may require additional premium later in life. We have one of our guests came on to for our team. She was serving her client. This client always buy, like, they have multiple policy. He will buy $1 million policy, $1 million policy, and then after several years, she reviewed his policy, and he want a way to grow money without tax. So she offered him a proposal of IUL. And then she put in, I think it was almost like that premium was about $17,000 a month. $17,000 a month for $5 million face amount. Okay. And then I think the underwriting was almost like 4 or 5 months, almost 6 months. And then he's 56 years old. He got approved with Preferred Elite. Wow. You know what happened? She came back to him. She said, you got approved with Preferred Elite. If you want to raise the face amount, now is the time. Mm-hmm. You know what he did? He doubled that to 10 million. Because the understanding of that, he's 56 years old, got approved with the best rate. When will you have this chance again? 3 more years, 4 more years, you're going to be 60. Yeah. So right now she's got her ring, $250,000 ring earner. That's all because of understanding and client and trust over time. Okay. People have money out there. They just don't know where to put the money. Term and permanent, as you can see. Now we have additional rider. So rider in a life insurance is like a car with the option to add sunroof, premium speaker. You know, if you have Tesla, you can have it, you know, self-driving, right? You have to pay extra on those things. So most common rider include additional insured, waiver premium, long-term care, critical and chronic illness, child term, accelerated death benefit, and also accidental death. So additional benefit, this is what most people don't understand much about tax advantages on life insurance. You get also debt-free, tax-free death benefit to beneficiary, tax-free long-term care rider benefit, and tax deferred growth of cash value in permanent policy. You know, when I explained that deferred growth, one of the important factors of deferred growth is that you don't pay tax on the yearly base. What happens is that you able to keep more of that growth in your account plus the balance you have. So you have more money going to work for you. And that's the benefit of the defer tax-free. Okay. Income tax-free, access to cash value in permanent policy through policy loan. So they can, you know, take this as a concept of, you know, maybe a income, but the concept of borrow yourself. Okay. Tax-free withdrawal of cumulative paid premium. Now, everything is great here, but just remember, do not cancel your policy. Okay. If you cancel your policy or something not going right, and if you take more money than what you put in, what happened?
Taxes.
You're going to pay tax, okay, on those gains. All right. So insurance for other, you know, what about insurance for children? What is your child, you know, what if your child become critical ill or the unthinkable happen? Being prepared could lessen potential financial burden. So I have a client where I open a child juvenile, and she asked me, Sam, what do they look for when we apply for juvenile policy? What do they look for? Because they don't have to do any medical exam or anything like that. What do they look for? Well, yeah. What do they look for?
Just their birthday?
No, beyond the birthday.
Family history, height, weight.
Primary weight, same thing, right? You know, and even
Pediatric report.
yeah, even like RX script,
Yes.
you know, the RX script. How early can you get for a kid?
When they're born.
No, not when they're
How
born.
many days after?
2 weeks after.
2 weeks after. Security number.
So typically about 3 weeks.
Okay, so.
Okay,
3 weeks.
it's about 3 weeks. Now this is Transamerica. I don't know another company, but I know Transamerica is 3 weeks, as young as 30 years old. Okay, so again, you know, this is something that they don't have. You don't have to wait for them to get 1 year old. I think it's like 3 months, 3 weeks. Okay, homemaker, important role in the household, often overlooked. Single people. Okay, I need life insurance too, right? Do you care for your parents? Plan eventually have a family? I do, because I plan to have a big family. So I want to make sure that yeah, soon. Yes, I need more life insurance. You know, one of my goals was to get at least 10 million.
I know.
So
Sam, get your order right. You want to have a big family, you have a wife first, then you have the life.
Message into the universe.
yeah, that's it. I'm broadcasting.
What does it look like?
There's no
Uninsurable. Have you looked to non-medical or guaranteed issue option? So Carl say something more life insurance you have. Okay. Cost. So cost concern, those concerned with immediate burial costs to family, others final expense. Guys, I think to me personally, the longer I stay in the business, the more I want to have for myself. You know, it's just secure. Just a sense of feeling. Okay. So again, FAQ, should I buy term and save the different? You know, you hear a lot of this, but it's funny. The longer you stay in the business, you don't get this kind of question. Why bother with cash value life insurance, especially whole life, when you can use a strategy such as buy term and save the difference? Okay. That's the same way as like back then, you hear people buy and hold strategy. Have you heard of that? Buy and hold, right? Investment strategy, they say buy and hold. If you was to buy and hold with a lot of company like Kodak, Circuit City, all those different companies that Micro Center, they're not even around anymore, right? Imagine. So time is changing. We have to adapt to new time. So for example, if you buy whole life and then you pay $1,000 a year versus by term, you pay $200 per year. But then you know what? You say hey, you know what, Sam? Instead of buying your kind of policy, I'm just going to do by term and then save my $800 somewhere else. Okay. I say, well, sounds good. Sounds wonderful, right? But you got to have discipline. One of the things is discipline and consistency to save the difference. So most people, when they do have extra money, what's the typical thing they do?
Oh my God.
Right? They will see something on sale, but really just encourage you to spend more, even though you don't want to buy it because it's 50% off. Well, I don't really need another jacket, but it's 50% off. You think you save, right? So you end up spending, right? Two, knowing how to save the difference. Do you know where to save to reach your goal? Right? Especially nowadays. You got all these different people talking about all these different ways to save money from, oh, you know what, Kia, put your money in Bitcoin, right? Oh, Gene, put money in the market, right? Oh, Becky, you know what, put money in real estate, right? Oh, Gary, right? So, yeah. So you see, it's like, which noise do you want to listen to?
That's why you don't do anything.
Yeah, and then people are paralyzed, right? They don't do anything. So again, everybody needs goals and responsibilities are different. Take a holistic approach to see how insurance fit into your overall strategy. At the end of the day, join us, right? We said join us. Many ads promote low-cost insurance. What is that? I get this all the time. You get this in the email? Like, I don't know, but I keep moving them to spam. I keep getting them. I get this call from Fidelity. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that in the email. Or AIG, I get this in the email, or sometime on Zoom or on social media, it pop up. So, of course, ad will push insurance at a relatively low cost. As you know, probably selling term insurance, don't get steered by the ad. What is right for you? And sometimes people are quick to click on those things. Okay.
Especially Sam in the TV from 995.
Oh yeah, yeah,
TV.
yeah.
Watch TV.
Yeah, and yeah. Well, I think even our local news now, like they buy a morning ad or something like that, or they call like the show, some advisor show or something like that. And they make it sound so official, but really it's just like paid commercial thing, right? But the way they do is that they almost present it like a newsstand thing. But yeah, I was like, I was at a gym one time in the morning and this thing was on TV and I was like, oh wow. I thought it was like, it's endorsed by a channel or something, but they're just paying a spot. So is it okay to get my insurance online? Is it okay?
Well, people do that.
Right? So, well, to me, I said, yes, you can. However, the cost of having a financial professional on your side, consider the importance of working with someone's human. See, that's why one thing, you look at AI, you look at whatever coming down the pipeline, Sam, will they replace us? How do you feel? Rita said no.
No,
Anyone else?
I'm not scared of the AI.
You're scared of AI?
Yes.
Reggie said yes.
Yes.
What? Yes.
Yes.
Elaborate.
AI could actually replace an agent if they're just simple.
Yeah.
If they're very simple, they don't have any human connection, any human touch. That's where we are. If we stick to not knowing what we know, because AI can pull up information like that, where we have to research, find out.
Yeah, because right now, so that's why we need more of a human touch. Like when you serve your client. So one thing I see that if you serve your client more, don't just open a case and then disappear, right? Stay connected with them. Interaction, get to know if they have a social media account. I will encourage you to follow them, right? Be their best fan, right? Because because there's one occasion, Tesla, Elon Musk. So if you go to Tesla and if you start to browse and look up the stuff and attempt to buy and put your information, you might not buy. AI call you. It sounds like human. And it will interact with you, trying to sell you. Because you know why? Because you see Tesla, they don't have a sales agent. They don't have a sales agent.
Nice.
Okay? Because all they do, you go order online. They have a showroom, but they don't have a sales agent. The moment you come in, they're trying to sell you. No, they have a showroom. Okay? But that's how they do. They automatically call, and I was like, wow. It's very interesting. So again, we have to be human. And that's the relationship that we have that cannot replace. And they'd say the same thing. When electricity came out, they said, oh, they're going to lose a lot of jobs. But what happened? What electricity did to our society? Create more jobs. And it's the same thing as computer, right? So when you look at it, it's always going to enhance us, for our job. So that's why it's also good that we keep up the skill. Doesn't my life insurance through work cover me? Your employer may provide this benefit, however, may not allow you to take it with you, right? Why is it so cheap? Why is it so costly? Review, right? Could be age, it could be gender. You get what you pay for. Review all the benefit. So like anything else, you pay less, you get less back. You pay more, you get more back. Yeah, you get what you pay for. Okay. I start to look at that way too. When I shop for things, before I try to buy something like, okay, but then I realized, okay, I have to buy that, and then about 4 or 5 years, the stock might run out. And then I end up having to buy another one. So most of my, I spent it, but I kept it for a long time. Strategy question. Okay, as we're coming to an end, do you think your health will change as you get older? Do you have a strategy that addresses your responsibility? Do you want to benefit that may help with your overall financial strategy? Will you be self-insured during your retirement year? Will you need to consider estate taxes? Okay. Do you want to pass on wealth to the next generation? So as a summary, okay, what is best, right? So if you want a term, which one is best? Which one? If you want a term, that's it. Limited income, but one to protect the family. What about whole life? Which one?
For life with a guaranteed rate.
Yep, policy for life, guarantee rate. What about universal life?
Policy for life with flexibility.
Yep, with the flexibility. And then index universal life is potential growth. Okay, so this is just sometimes clients say, Sam, I just want protection for the rest of my life. But they also have a premium conscience. I want to pay less premium, but I want the rest of my life. So sometimes I go with universal life, or a different company have different way of design for that. power of choice. As you're working with us, you know what? We really based on what you need. Okay. And we considered more of approach of a holistic approach. The day of the insurance salesman trying to meet their quota is over. Nowadays, we have financial education and we can choose the plan that best for our family. And what's interesting is that I was on my way back from a gym and there's a guy came into our door. He was going door to door. You know what company that normally do that? Yeah,
Pest control.
the pest control. I see a lot with Lincoln Financial.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Lincoln Financial.
Oh,
I see that a lot. Yeah,
final expense.
they final expense. Yeah, yeah, they go door to door. I see that. So I prospected him, and but again, I just like no. I mean, sometimes people really stuck in that already, so it's just too much of the loose. Okay. So take action. This is from Angel. She said, "Thank you, WSB. My husband now have proper protection for our family. I heard about getting protection through another company, but I wasn't educated on it, so I didn't think about much. After my husband explained it to me and actually educated me about proper protection, I now see how important it is. I'm proud spouse and a member of WSB community. I love you all." Okay. So again, one of the greatest miracles you can do is change your life simply by change the way you think.
Yeah.
We hear this all a lot, right?
Yeah.
In our presentation, how you think, how you think. So, but yeah, well, I hope you guys keep inviting and get them to attend more in our workshop.